Most men don't fall into lust suddenly. They drift into it. It doesn't start with a relapse. It starts the night before, with staying up late, with scrolling too long, with neglecting God in the morning. Lust doesn't attack when you're strong, it waits until you're undisciplined. So today, I'm not talking about fighting lust in the moment. I'm talking about killing it before it even shows up. These are daily habits that are simple, biblical, practical, that weaken lust and strengthen the man God is forming. 1. Wake up early and seek God first. Lust feeds on late nights and rushed mornings. When you wake up late, the flesh is already in control. Your phone becomes your first altar. Your thoughts run unchecked. But when you wake up early and seek God first, you set the order of the day. This isn't about religion, it's about authority. When God is first, lust is second. When God is absent, lust fills the gap. Even 10 to 15 minutes matters. Read, pray, sit in silence. Let your mind submit before temptation speaks. When you open your eyes in the morning, something is going to get your attention first. It will either be God or it will be noise. Your phone, messages, social media, dopamine, and whatever gets your attention first gets authority over your mind for the rest of the day. That's why waking up early matters, not because it makes you productive, not because it sounds disciplined, but because it gives you space. Space before temptation, space before thoughts spiral, space before the flesh wakes up fully. Most men say, "I'll pray later." Later turns into never. Later turns into scrolling. Later turns into stress. Later turns into lust. But when you wake up early, you catch your mind before it runs. You don't give temptation a head start. Early mornings are quiet because they are designed for alignment. This is where you remind yourself who you are. This is where you reset your priorities. This is where you submit your flesh before it starts making demands. When you don't seek God early, you spend the entire day reacting to stress, reacting to urges, reacting to emotions, and by night, you're drained. That's when lust shows up. Not because you wanted it, but because you were undisciplined earlier. Waking up early feels hard, because it goes against comfort, because it denies the flesh, because it breaks cycles. Comfort hates discipline. Discipline produces freedom. 2. Block lust. Filled content everywhere. Most men want self-control, but they refuse to remove excess. They pray for strength while keeping temptation in their pocket. That's not discipline. That's self-deception. Lust doesn't start in the body. It starts in the eyes and ears. What you allow yourself to see and hear slowly trains what you crave. And the internet is not neutral. If your phone is full of lust-filled content, you are not struggling. You are being trained. Every image rewires your brain. Every clip lowers your resistance. Every scroll makes the next urge stronger. Then men ask, why do I keep falling? Because you keep feeding it. Blocking content isn't weakness, it's wisdom. A disciplined man doesn't test his limits. He removes the trap. Jesus didn't say fight temptation. He said cut it off, not later, not slowly, immediately. That means unfollowing accounts, muting pages, deleting apps if needed, not because you're scared, but because you're serious. If something repeatedly pulls your mind into lust, it has no place in your life. You can't build a clean mind while consuming dirty inputs. And here's the truth most men avoid. You already know what needs to go. You don't need another sermon. You need obedience. The moment you remove excess, temptation loses half its power. 3. Cold showers and workouts. Lust is often misdirected energy. A restless body creates a reckless mind. When your body is comfortable all the time, your flesh starts demanding pleasure. Cold showers teach one thing very clearly. You're not in charge. Your body screams. Your mind resists. But you stay. That builds authority. Workouts do the same thing. They drain excess energy. They build discipline through discomfort. They teach delayed gratification. A tired body is easier to govern than an idle one. Men fall into lust most when they are bored, lazy, and unchallenged. Move your body daily, not for aesthetics, for control. Discipline in the physical supports discipline in the spiritual. When your body learns to obey, your mind follows. 4. Read 1 chapter a day. Read 1 chapter a day. Lust grows in a mind that is underfed. Not underfed physically, underfed spiritually. Most men don't need more motivation. They need input. What you read daily becomes the voice in your head when temptation comes. If scripture isn't shaping your thoughts, something else will. Reading 1 chapter a day isn't about speed. It's about consistency. 1 chapter a day keeps your mind in truth without overwhelming you. Psalms when you're discouraged. Proverbs when you need wisdom. The Gospels when you need alignment. You don't read to feel inspired. You read to reset your thinking. Lust doesn't survive in a mind filled with truth. When scripture is present, temptation has resistance. Not because you're strong, but because your mind isn't empty. Men fall most when their spiritual tank is empty. 1 chapter a day fills that tank slowly but steadily, and steady beats intense every time. 5. Speak scripture over your mind. Thoughts don't disappear on their own. They stay until confronted. Lust begins as a suggestion, not an action. If you stay silent, the thought grows. If you speak truth, it loses ground. Speaking scripture out loud isn't religious, it's discipline. You're reminding your mind who's in charge. When temptation rises, don't negotiate. Say the word. Your mind must learn obedience the same way your body does, through repetition. Darkness doesn't argue with light, it leaves. 6. Keep your mind on mission. Lust thrives in men with no direction. When purpose is unclear, pleasure looks attractive. But a man on mission doesn't entertain distractions. He doesn't have time to fantasize because he's focused on building. Ask yourself daily, what am I called to do today? What am I building long term? Who depends on my discipline? Mission gives purpose and direction. Lust stops being attractive when you remember what's at stake. Your mission will impact your future generations. 7. Journal wins and setbacks. Most men repeat the same mistakes because they never study themselves. Journaling isn't emotional, it's strategic awareness. Write down what strengthened you, what weakened you, what patterns you notice. Light exposes cycles. Once exposed, they lose power. You're not journaling to condemn yourself. You're journaling to grow. Growth requires honesty. Lust isn't defeated in a dramatic moment. It doesn't disappear because you felt strong once. It fades when your life has order. Most men keep waiting for a breakthrough, but what they really need is a routine. God doesn't usually remove temptation. He strengthens discipline, and discipline is built quietly, daily, when no one is watching. These habits aren't extreme. They're foundational. Waking up early, removing excess, training your body, feeding your mind, speaking truth, staying on mission, reflecting honestly. None of this is complicated, but it is costly because it requires consistency. It requires denying comfort. It requires choosing obedience when no one would know if you didn't. Lust survives in disorder. It dies in structure. When your days are disciplined, lust loses power. When your mind is fed, temptation has less room to speak. When your body is trained, urges lose intensity. When God is first, everything else finds its place. You don't need to hate yourself for past failures. Condemnation doesn't produce change, but you do need to be honest. If you keep falling, something in your structure is missing. Fix the structure, and the behavior follows. Freedom doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from living wiser. You stop fighting lust directly and start building a life where it struggles to survive. That's maturity. Understand this. Every disciplined day is a deposit. Every obedient morning compounds. Every resisted urge builds authority. You may not feel the change immediately, but your mind is being retrained. Your flesh is being humbled. Your spirit is being strengthened. And one day, You look back and realize the battle isn't as loud anymore. This is how men are formed. Not in hype, not in emotion, but in daily obedience. God isn't looking for perfect men. He's looking for submitted ones. Men who choose discipline over desire. Men who choose purpose over pleasure. Men who choose obedience over comfort. So don't wait for the next relapse to get serious. Don't wait for motivation. Decide. Decide to wake up early. Decide to remove excess. Decide to train your body and guard your mind. Decide to put God first daily. Lust loses power when you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. Build the habits. Protect the structure. Trust the process. Freedom is on the other side of discipline. If this message spoke to you, stay with it. Like the video. Subscribe if you're serious about becoming the man God called you to be. Stay disciplined, stay watchful, and walk in obedience daily.